Well, Taylor Sheridan's at it again. Because clearly one Yellowstone universe isn't enough, now we've got Why Marshals, where Tate Dutton trades his cowboy hat for a shiny badge and somehow still finds time to scowl like the weight of the world is on his shoulders. And get this, Paramount is already dangling familiar faces in front of us like bait. Rainwater, Mo, Tate, they're all back. But Monica? Oh no, she's conveniently missing, which is basically the franchise equivalent of pretending the family dog just went to live on a farm. Fans aren't buying it, and neither am I. So buckle up, because this spin-off isn't just another Sheridan experiment. It's either a masterstroke or the moment Yellowstone finally jumps the shark with a cowboy hat on. Confirmed returns. Who's back? The news finally broke, and Yellowstone fans can breathe a sigh of relief. Some of the heavy hitters are saddling back up for Why Marshals. Gil Birmingham's stoic Rainwater is back, Mo Brings Plenty is returning as the loyal and unshakable Mo, and Brecken Merrill is reprising his role as Tate Dutton. That's right, the Dutton kid who has been dragged through kidnappings, shootouts, and enough family drama to fill 10 soap operas is stepping into yet another storm. These aren't just cameos, they're living proof that Sheridan isn't scrapping the Yellowstone DNA. He's carrying it forward, and frankly, it's the smartest move he could have made. If you're going to give Kayce his own stage, you damn well better surround him with familiar faces who ground his story. But let's not sugarcoat it. This is less about nostalgia and more about necessity. Without Rainwater, you lose the cultural weight Yellowstone has always balanced on, and without Tate, you erase the personal stakes that keep Kayce's story human. Mo Brings Plenty? He's the unsung backbone, the man who can steal a scene with one line and a glare. These three aren't just supporting cast, they're anchors, keeping Sheridan's new Procedural from drifting into some generic Cowboys Meet Cops rerun. Their return signals that Why Marshals isn't abandoning the complexity of the Dutton world. It's doubling down on it. And here's the kicker. Fans know these characters inside and out, which means Sheridan has no room to phone this in. Bringing them back raises the bar. If they're here, their arcs have to matter. Rainwater can't just be decoration. He has to shape the political and cultural battles of this spin-off. Tate can't stay in the kid and danger box forever. He's growing up, and that has explosive implications for the Dutton legacy. And Mo? He deserves more spotlight than ever. Their confirmed returns are not just exciting, they're a promise. A promise that Why Marshals won't be another hollow franchise cash grab, but a continuation of a story that still has fire in its belly. Monica Dutton's absence, intentional or convenience? So here's the headline that lit Yellowstone fans' comment sections on fire. Monica Dutton is nowhere to be found in Why Marshals. Not a whisper, not a tease, not even a rumor about Kelsey Asbill returning. And let's be honest, her absence sticks out like a neon sign in a pitch-black desert. Kayce's wife, Tate's mother, the emotional anchor of his entire story, just gone. If this is intentional, Sheridan is basically telling fans, yeah, we'll just cut out the heart of Kayce's character and pretend you won't notice. Spoiler alert, we noticed. Now, maybe this is a clever storytelling choice. Maybe Monica's absence is part of a bigger narrative twist Sheridan is holding close to the vest. But the cynical side of me thinks this reeks of pure convenience. Let Kayce be a freewheeling U.S. Marshal without the complication of a wife and family back home, slowing down the gunfights and manhunts. It's the oldest trick in the TV playbook. If you want action, strip the hero of attachments. The problem? This isn't Die Hard 7. This is Yellowstone's universe, where family ties are literally the blood and bone of the story. Cutting Monica out isn't trimming fat, it's chopping off a limb and pretending the body still runs just fine. And the fans? They're already restless, because Monica's absence doesn't just affect Kayce, it warps the entire Dutton family dynamic. Tate's storyline becomes thinner, Kayce's motivations risk becoming hollow, and the representation Monica brought to the table evaporates overnight. If this is convenience, it's lazy. If it's intentional, it better pay off with something seismic. Because the Yellowstone faithful aren't the forgiving type, they want Monica, or they want a damn good explanation why she's gone. Until then, this isn't just an omission, it's a gaping hole Sheridan has to fill, and fast. New faces in the team. The Y Marshals cast list just dropped some fresh names, and let's be real, Taylor Sheridan isn't just tossing random actors into cowboy hats. He's building a lawman dream team that screams, "This ain't your grandpa's Yellowstone." Ariel Kebbel joins as Belle, Ash Santos as Andrea, Tatanka Means as Miles, and Brett Cullen as Harry Gifford, with Logan Marshall Green stepping in as Pete Calvin. Translation: Sheridan is stacking this deck with seasoned performers who can bring grit, fire, and just enough chaos to keep Kayce from brooding his way into oblivion. These aren't background extras, they're characters who look ready to challenge Kayce's authority, push his morals, and maybe even steal a little spotlight in the process. But here's the real kicker. This lineup tells us Sheridan is leaning hard into the federal marshals procedural angle. You've got the tough-as-nails veterans, the young firebrands, and the wild cards who could flip the story on its head at any moment. It's basically Yellowstone meets Law and Order with a dash of Sons of Anarchy swagger. And honestly, that might be exactly what the spinoff needs, because Kayce on his own is compelling, sure, but Kayce thrown into a team of unpredictable personalities with their own baggage, agendas, and secrets. That's where the dynamite is. Of course, the fan base is already side-eyeing this expansion. New faces mean new loyalties, new storylines, and the looming question: will they complement the Yellowstone DNA or dilute it? Sheridan has a history of introducing characters who instantly feel iconic, but he also has a tendency to flood the field with so many moving pieces that fans start to wonder who the hell they're supposed to care about. These newcomers have to matter. They can't just be names on a casting sheet. They have to carve out their space in a world dominated by Dutton legacy and generational trauma. If Sheridan pulls it off, these fresh recruits could give Y Marshals its own distinct heartbeat. If he doesn't, they'll end up as forgettable footnotes in Kayce Dutton's shadow. Kayce's evolution, rancher to Navy SEAL to now, U.S. Marshal. If there's one thing Kayce Dutton has proven, it's that he refuses to sit quietly on the porch and whittle wood like every other worn-down cowboy stereotype. Nope, this man has gone from ranch hand to Navy SEAL to now carrying a badge as a U.S. Marshal. That's not a resume, that's a mythological saga. The guy's lived 3 lifetimes before his mid-40s, and somehow Sheridan makes it believable. Kayce doesn't just change jobs, he sheds skins. Rancher Kayce gave us the stoic family man torn between tradition and survival. SEAL Kayce embodied the scars of war, discipline, and a darkness Yellowstone only hinted at. And now Marshal Kayce, that's the version ready to drag those ghosts into the light with a gun in one hand and moral ambiguity in the other. Of course, Sheridan didn't just stumble into this evolution, it's been baked into Kayce's DNA since day one. Ranching gave him the connection to land and family, the eternal Dutton struggle. His SEAL past gave him tactical edge and trauma, a warrior spirit that always lurked beneath the cowboy hat. Making him a marshal isn't some wild detour. It's the logical collision of every piece of him we've already seen. But here's the catch. This isn't about elevating Kayce, it's about testing him. Can a man who's wrestled bulls, battled terrorists, and barely survived his own family finally find his footing inside a federal badge? Or will Y Marshals show us that Kayce Dutton was never built for peace, only for the endless cycle of violence and loyalty that defines his bloodline? And let's not ignore the sarcasm dripping off this transformation. What's next? Kayce Dutton, President of the United States? At this point, Sheridan might as well give him a cape and call it a day. But behind the exaggeration, the truth is Kayce's evolution is what makes him the perfect anchor for this spin-off. He's not just another brooding cowboy. He's a man shaped by the extremes of duty, family, and survival. That's why fans will follow him from Yellowstone's ranches into a Marshal's badge, because his story has always been about transformation under fire. And if history has taught us anything, Kayce doesn't just endure change, he weaponizes it. The DNA of Yellowstone in a procedural format, so here we are, Y Marshals? The show that dares to ask, what if Yellowstone collided headfirst with a federal badge and a case of the week format? At first glance, it sounds like TV alchemy gone wrong. A universe built on sprawling ranch feuds, land wars, and family betrayals being squeezed into the tidy structure of a procedural? Please. But here's the kicker. If anyone can make it work, it's Taylor Sheridan. Because let's face it, the DNA of Yellowstone isn't about cattle or property lines. It's about power, loyalty, and the cost of survival. Swap out the ranch for the U.S. Marshal's office, and suddenly the courtroom becomes the new corral, and fugitives become the new cattle rustlers. Different playing field, same blood-soaked rules. What makes this fascinating is the potential clash between Yellowstone's slow-burn storytelling and the fast, bite-sized rhythms of a procedural. Sheridan has built his empire on tension that simmers, characters that unravel, and story arcs that stretch like barbed wire across seasons. But why Marshals is stepping into a genre where viewers expect resolution. Bad guy caught, case closed, justice served by the end of the episode. If Sheridan sticks to the formula, fans will cry sellout. If he breaks the mold, he risks alienating procedural diehards who tuned in expecting CSI Cowboy Edition. The tightrope he's walking here could either redefine what a procedural can be or leave us with the TV equivalent of a half-cooked steak. But let's be real, if Sheridan nails it, why Marshals could be genius. Imagine the procedural structure used not as a crutch, but as a Trojan horse for Yellowstone's trademark chaos. Each case Kayce tackles could peel back layers of systemic corruption, personal demons, and the kind of moral dilemmas that Yellowstone fans live for. The cases won't be about closure, they'll be about consequences. And that's where the DNA kicks in. Family, power, sacrifice, and the ugly truths we bury under cowboy hats. If Sheridan can inject his signature grit into the rigid skeleton of a procedural, why Marshals won't just be another spin-off. It'll be the wildest evolution of the Yellowstone brand yet. So here's where we land. Why Marshals is shaping up to be part procedural, part Yellowstone blood feud, and part Sheridan fever dream. The cast is stacked, the stakes are high, and the fan base is already sharpening their pitchforks over Monica's absence. Will Kayce's new badge give the show legs, or is this just Yellowstone dressed up in a lawman costume, hoping we won't notice the recycled drama? Either way, we'll be here to call it like it is passionate, outraged, entertained, and maybe just a little addicted to this wild Sheridan empire. Because love it or hate it, you can't look away. And that, my friends, is the Dutton curse.